Lecture hand. We gotta get a guy, Russell Brown, on the phone. If you guys don't know who he is, he does a lot of breakdowns for NFL drafts, but more importantly, Detroit Lions as well.
Russell Brown,
Holmes. Do we got him on the phone right now?
Russell,
let's get him here, man. Hola, Russell. How you been, Holmes?
I'm good, Bob. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. You're at home knocking down some cervezas.
Yeah, I don't even know what I'm walking into here.
Welcome to the Mexican sports. You know, we talk about like Americano football here, though, Holmes. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Herman didn't know what he's walking to here. We gotta stop doing it to our guests. They get so confused.
Yeah.
I was hoping you respond back in an accent as well. Do you have any accents in the bank?
No, dude, I'm terrible with accents, and I'm kind of battling through a cold sinus thing, so it would be really bad. I'm not even going to attempt it.
Oh, he's got sinuses.
Yeah. Holmes got sinuses.
Yeah, Holmes got sinuses.
Russ, I wanted to have you on the show because I obviously follow you on Twitter. You're my guy. Make sure you guys give me a follow. It's Russ NFL Draft, if I'm not mistaken. And I saw you tweet about some of the routes that J-Mo ran. And it's a big question going around town is like, why isn't J-Mo getting more targets? What the hell is going on? And as you being my film guy, what are you seeing out there?
Well, I mean, the route combinations off this last game were god awful. It was some of the worst probably route combinations that Ben Johnson kind of drew up. I don't know if it's like they're trying different things to kind of see what sticks, what works. But they ran a lot of trips, and they would, have a single receiver. And the Bears did a good job defending it. I mean, but they would take away the middle of the field, and the Lions would essentially run these, like, I don't want to call them level concepts because, level concepts a lot of times are like towards the middle of the field, where you have, a kind of a shallow route or something underneath, and then like a deeper route, like a dig route or something like that over the top. But they would run these trips routes with, St. Brown going to the flats, and then Josh Reynolds would be over the top, and then J-Mo would go even deeper. And there was nothing to the middle of the field, and we already know that Jared Goff's not going to take the deep route. So, like, you're wasting your time taking J-Mo and running them, 40 yards down the field because Goff's not going to unload it, and, he would basically throw the ball away, or as we saw, take a bad sack, or he would, try to force a pass to the single receiver side, which is normally Sam Laporta. And it's just like, if I'm J-Mo, I'm probably getting a little discouraged on that he's getting open on these deep crossers, and there's just too much where Goff is not fully going through his progression. There's one that I clipped out there where Taylor Decker gave up a sack. I had stopwatched, and I used, probably the stopwatch on the play 5 or 6 times. And I came to pretty much an average of like 2.6 seconds, which isn't bad considering that Jared Goff averages about 2.3 seconds, according to the data that we have at Fantasy Pros. So it's not like he had too short a time in the pocket or even really too long a time. It's pretty much right in average or in the ballpark. And they blitzed Tremaine Edmonds, and Edmonds gets his hands up near the end. But at the end of the day, like, Sam Laporta's open at the middle of the field, and Jared Goff ends up getting sacked, and it falls on Taylor Decker. And it's like, Decker got beat, no doubt about it, but it's just like the route combinations are bad, the offensive line is banged up, the quick passing stuff that they've normally done in the past just kind of evaporated last week, and Jared Goff just never got in rhythm and never got comfortable, and that ultimately hurts this team when he's not able to do that. And I don't know why they went away from running the football. They were running the football pretty well throughout this game. Sure, there's a couple drives where they stop it, but, like, for the most part, the Lions can bully ball anybody, and they refused to do it against Chicago this past week.
No, actually, I agree with you. I was pretty pissed off about that, too, because, like you said, they can bully ball anybody. Going into last week, Chicago ranked like number 1 against the run, and each one of our running backs had 60 yards comfortably before, as you said, we went away from it. But I guess, like, do you think his limited route tree, do you think some of it's, like, I guess tied into Jared Goff's limitations, especially like the kind of weather they were playing in Chicago?
Yeah, I think it's definitely, pointed to Goff and just some of the limitations there. I mean, they run a lot of choice routes and those types of things, option routes with St. Brown and even Sam Laporta, and even Khalif Raymond. He's kind of been sprinkled in there, but they're not giving that role to JMO. JMO's there for some of the gadget plays, the speed, the deep overs, the deep routes. Well, the deep overs, I mean, the key word is deep, and Goff's not going to hit it deep. He's not, smiley face, he's not going to throw it. He's not going to throw that one deep. And it's just one of those where, like, I've been saying it with Scott Bischoff a bunch on our podcast, and it's like, when are we going to start seeing, mesh concepts and those types of things? It's not happening. Like, one of the big things that hurt the Lions defensively is that when they get into man coverage, specifically on third down, I don't know why they run this man coverage on third down. It's third down. Just play zone, play off a little bit, and you'll make the stops. Keep the offense in front of you. But they run man coverage and teams run mesh concepts. Well, when Alex Anzalone's covering the slot receiver and he's got to run across the field and all the odd things, I think we might have talked about it around Thanksgiving with the Packers game, and you just look at some of this stuff, and I'm just like, where's our mesh concepts? Where are our man beater routes? Where's our zone beater routes? There's just a lot of kind of I don't even know how to describe it with Ben Johnson. It's just like he's kind of going through the motions, I feel like, as an OC right now, and I don't know why, because I think, potential-wise, there's so much potential and so much talent on this roster. We all know that. I mean, this was a team that at one point was looking like a potential 13 or 14 win team, and now that's kind of out the door because it almost feels like they're kind of backing their way into the playoffs and potentially a division title.
They've been playing pretty rough lately, and Jared Goff has not looked great on top of that. And I know you're a big film nerd and you study everything, you look at everything. And one big turning point in that Chicago game was Aiden Hutchinson calling his own number, doing his own stunt, going to the inside, and then Justin Fields just having a gaping hole on the right side of the defense where he runs over there for an easy touchdown. What happened in that situation, and why was it just so easy for Justin Fields to cut up in the end zone there?
It's one of those where I went on a rant last night or 2 nights ago on the podcast, and I was given 10 minutes to just kind of rant. And I did, because I personally, when you get into key down and distances, 1st and 10, 2nd and 15, you give the guy the opportunity to call his number, make a play. I get it. And, over my time of just studying the game, being a coach as far as just like the high school level, going to coaching clinics, talking to college coaches, players adjust on the fly. It's just part of the game. I completely understand that. And I understand Hutchinson maybe making adjustments at the line of scrimmage, but he calls for what I would call a TE stunt. So it's a tackle and exchange. And the tackle loops outside and the end crashes inside. So that's what happens. Hutch calls his number. He tries to get fancy and get inside, and he allows the defensive tackle to try to loop outside. Well, I mean, first and foremost, Hutch has got to be smarter than that. This is stuff you learn day one in high school when you become a defensive end playing against mobile quarterbacks. And I say that because that's the level I've coached at, and I had to teach that. I know other schools do that. So you learn, like, over time. If you're playing a mobile quarterback, such as Fields, you don't get greedy and try to do too much. You keep him in front of you, you try to contain him, and you keep your best edge rushers, your best athletes on the edge. And Hutch often is looping inside far too many times because he's calling his own number and he's playing undisciplined like that. So that's what happened on that rush, and that, everything was covered downfield, and that's why Fields took off and ran it and essentially walked in the end zone. And Hutch knows he messed up, but that's my issue with Aaron Glenn and Easy. I know he's your boy. I know that's your guy. I don't know where you're standing on him as far as letting him go or keeping him, or if you want him to get a head coaching job, whatever. But like, that's where I'm at. Is like, you're not coordinating anymore. Like, you're letting the guy. It just feels like free reign. Like, third down, it's 3rd and goal, man. Like, keep him in front of you, prevent anything from happening, force them to kick, and move on. And it's just like 3rd down. And I said this on the podcast, if Hutch is given free reign to make adjustments at the line of scrimmage, imagine what Alex Anzalone, who's been with Aaron Glenn for almost his entire career, imagine the free reign he's given. Imagine the free reign that Cam Sutton or Tracy Walker, who, by the way, played 0 defensive snaps this past weekend. What's going on there? You know, like, all these players are given these adjustments, and they're allowed to make these adjustments. Well, if I tell you to go one way and I go the other way, and nobody checks back with the defensive backs, and what they check into doesn't coordinate with what's going on in front of them, that's what's going to happen. Coverage lapses and meltdowns, and that's what happened. I mean, that's the long end of the story there, and I think that's been the problem all year on third down.